Honestly, guys, it's just our opinion. There's been a lot of conjecture about Leichhardt after last week's game in the news, with funding not being awarded and no chance of upgrades. And so, honestly, guys, it's just our opinion. We're going to be asking ourselves, should the West Tigers stay at Leichhardt Oval? How many games a year do they play there? I think it went up last year, right?
I believe, I think I saw a line that said it's something like 5 of their 12, I believe.
No, it's gone up this year. Last year, was one of the announcements.
Yeah, I've got the line here. The Tigers will play 5 of their 12 home games this season at Leichhardt.
Yeah, it was 4 last year and it went up this year. That was one of the things that like Benji Marshall wanted to do and all that kind of stuff. So 5 games a year is actually quite a lot. Given that one of your away games, they'll always have a regional away game. Like basically every team does that now. I don't know if it's Magic Round this year, but they might have Magic Round. You might have Magic Round. So usually it's about 10 games at your home game, your actual home ground per year for each club. So you're kind of looking at like the Tigers playing 50% of their like full hardcore actual home game choices at Leichhardt. That said, I've been to Leichhardt. It's terrible. I went there once and swore to never go again. It was the worst rugby league experience I've ever had. And I was in a box. But it wasn't a box. It was like an open air. Yeah. I just had a wall around me with a few guys, and they had an esky over in the corner for me to take my drinks out of. And then a guy came around with meat pies. And I've been in the best of the best boxes before, you know, and that was like a shocker. Like I was like, what? Almost Mick Mock mouth breather thing am I in here?
Yeah. I guess as a Dragons fan, maybe you're not that sort of, you know what I mean? You probably don't have the investment in the club that the Tigers fans have.
Yeah.
That whenever I hear, and that's the thing, I'm not a Tigers fan either. I'm a Bulldogs fan. You're a Dragons fan, and so for us going there, we might go, oh, you know, you have to stand up around a whole bunch of people on the hill. The line for the toilet's too long. The line to get a beer's too long. For us, it might just be all too hard. But you listen to the West Tigers supporters, and in particular the old Balmain supporters, and they love the idea of the event at the ground. And, you know, you'd much rather see 16,000 packed in there than, you know, 20,000 at an 80,000 seat stadium at Accor Stadium. That's the thing. That they're, you know, Tigers fans are happy to go along there and put up with those inconveniences we've talked about.
Yeah, it's the thing with it a lot is like, yeah, you're never going to get opposing fans there because you can't. The public transport there is terrible to get to Leichhardt. The public transport to get to Leichhardt is terrible. There's no trains, it's buses. You can't drive there because you'll be parking 2 hours away.
Yeah, you sort of got to get an Uber there.
Yeah, and even like an Uber is there, or well, in the days that I went there, it was a taxi. It's dangerous because there's so many. They shut off all roads and stuff when you're there, so you still got to get out far away and walk quite a distance. It's like to me, anywhere with a hill is awful. I can't stand the hill, mainly because when it gets sold out, you have to stand up. You know, like that's like I've said. I think I've said before at Cogra, they make announcements when it's sold out. Like everyone on the hill, stand up. You have to stand up because no room for people to sit down. I've read some news articles about the behaviour of the Tigers fans at the Leichhardt Oval, how much worse it is there with a lot of poor antisocial type behaviour. There more than any other. I mean, one article I read was by a Sharks fan reporter who mentioned in the article that they were a Sharks fan. So, got to take their opinion with a grain of salt. I think without massive investments to turn it into a proper facility, it inhibits the growth. You know, like the Bulldogs couldn't play at Belmore for a long time. And then they I don't know, the government, the council, whoever, spent money on improving it to make it a better facility. I went to Belmore for a trial game, like, I can't remember how many years ago. Seriously, like 10 years ago, before they were playing games there again, you know? And it was like, I went there and I was like, this is just like Leichhardt. And then, yeah, they did all this investment in improving it to make it like, actually, it's not like a world-class facility. It's not a finals game facility. But it's good enough to have club games there and allowed for them to expand their membership bases and stuff like that. Whereas Leichhardt isn't like that. Leichhardt is ain't the eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Minns, the Premier, came out and said, "Oh, look, we've got $180 billion worth of debt in New South Wales." I mean, but they're spending $309 million on an upgrade of Penrith, and they won't even give the Tigers $30 million for. You know what I mean? Like, you sort of go, well, what you talk about the $180 billion in debt, but you're going to give Penrith $309 million.
It's Leichhardt a Liberal or a Labor seat?
Oh yeah, well that's the thing. It's Albanese's safe seat, so they know that. Well, we don't have to spend the money here to keep the seat. If it had been a marginal seat, well, maybe the decision.
That'd be $60 million for him.
Yeah, like, seriously. But you know what I mean, like $180 billion in debt. Well, what's 30 out of if you got $180 billion in debt? What's $30 million more dollars?
I like the I was listening to something on Joe Rogan the other day where it was talking about like the number one contributor to pollution in cars is actually brake pads. Right, it's not actually the carbon emissions; it's brake pads, brake pad dust. And he was talking about like the new modern carbon fiber brake pads that don't emit that. And he said, like, they're very expensive. They're like 3 times the cost of a normal brake pad or something. And he was saying, like, if you're buying a Tesla, you would think that Teslas would come with it. Because even though they're like $3,000 instead of $500, you're spending $130,000 on a car anyway. And it's exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. You're $180 billion in debt. Yeah. You just chuck another $30 million on there.
And that's the thing. It's not like in this state in New South Wales. This is, we have first world conditions here. Most people live in luxury here. We have great healthcare. It's not as if it's $180 billion in bad debt, like most people are, have a roof over their heads. All right, there are some homeless people here like there is everywhere in the world, but there's relative to other places in the world, there's not many people really, really struggling, like living out on the streets here. Like that $180 billion in debt, I mean, it's not, it can't, the debt can't be that bad if most people live a good life and live in luxury and have healthcare and everything else. I just didn't get that. We've got $180 billion in debt, but we're not spending we're not putting another $30 million on top of it, even when we're willing to give $309 million to upgrade Penrith. And Shane Richardson said, can we have 10% of that $309 million for Leichhardt? Can we take 10% off Penrith to have... but no, not a. Again, it's a safe seat, so the government won't spend the money on it.
Penrith is a bit of a weird one. They're doing a lot of investment out at Penrith, and it's actually quite funny because for years, that Western Sydney is the most popular, densely populated area in Sydney, and for years and years and years in my youth, there would be no investment in infrastructure, no investment in, improving transport, no investment in destinations. Now they've built a beach, Bondi Beach. They've got not new, but they've got Wet and Wild out there. They're improving the stadium. I don't know what it is about Penrith. Maybe some rich people moved out there and it got gentrified. I'm sure guys like Craig Gower are happy, but...
I know. I don't want to upset our friend Craig Gower with what I'm saying.
But I mean, I don't think the West Tigers should continue to play at Leichhardt as long as it's in the state that it is. And I don't think any club should continue to play in any stadium that is similar to Leichhardt in the state that it is. If the question was, should the government invest money in Leichhardt Oval, I would say yes. I don't know what $30 million is going to do. Like, what's the plan? Could they find a private investor to do it? When I went to Shark Park when they were going through their renovations, I don't know if they're finished now, and that was awful as well. Absolutely, there was porta potties for the toilets and stuff like that. It was awful, and to me, they shouldn't have had the game I went and watched there. That's I don't know if I'm a snob or whatever or like that, but it is not that kind of crap. And Leichhardt Oval is not a good look for the game when you want to. Expand and make the game better and make it more more accessible to more fans. But if they're going to invest money in Leichhardt Oval and turn it into a Belmore, then I would say, But if they can't get money, it's time to go. The problem, my other, on the flip side of it, I would hate for it to close down or them to stop playing there, because the only thing that would happen if a stadium closed down is a property developer would buy it and chuck up 1,000 units, and they'd chuck up 1,000 shitty units that were only going to last 5 years. Yeah,
and I just think sometimes it's not all about money. The passion in those Tigers fans the other night. It's that walk they take to the ground. I just think that's a real money can't buy feel, and I'd hate to see that lost to the game. To be honest, I want them to stay.
Have you been there recently? I haven't been there for years.
I haven't, but it just...
I haven't been there for years.
The thing is, there's a real... Tigers fans, they're funny supporters. Like a lot of the time you feel like that they don't care, but then there's other times where you feel like they're the most passionate supporters in the game, more so than any other club. And, you sort of need... You need a lot to sort of get them interested a lot of the time, but they,
Well, look at their club.
I know, but they are really passionate about their club, and that they turn up. Like, what if they go to Accor Stadium? It's called now. So that stadium's got no soul. Or just Shane Richardson wants to go.
No, I don't.
I know the financial incentive is there to go to that ground, but. Or are we going to put another team at that ground and have another team get 15,000 in an 80,000 seat stadium?
No, I don't think anyone should play club games at Accor. I think that's the worst game. But
I sort of think, to be honest, I would like to see Allianz Stadium used by more clubs. The Tigers could play games there. The Bulldogs could play. To me, that's a better alternative.
No, both of those clubs should play at Parramatta.
Yeah,
over Accor. I mean, over Allianz, actually. Now the Parramatta... Have you been to Parramatta? Parramatta is fantastic. It's better than...
I haven't been to CommBank. No.
Yeah, that's what it's called, CommBank. I drive past it every day. It's better than Allianz, actually. I think it's even better than Allianz since Allianz has been upgraded. I like CommBank way better. There are still other options, though, that over Accor. I don't think the West Tigers... I don't think that anybody should play at Accor during regular season. It's terrible. It's horrible there. That's the worst stadium. That's worse to me than Leichhardt. That's the worst stadium.
So if that's the alternative,
but they could play at Parramatta.
Stay at Leichhardt.
And then the West Tigers also play out of Campbelltown. I don't know what that's like.
Yeah, I've never been to Campbelltown. It's too far away.
It is pretty far. It's like going to a different country.
It's like going to Wollongong or
it's halfway to bloody
Newcastle.
Melbourne or somewhere. Like it's too far away. So I don't know, but. Yeah, like I said, my main thing is Leichhardt is a terrible stadium to anybody external, and it restricts growth. If they invest a bit of money in it and make it better, it could be something. But it's so gross. I haven't been there for a while, but I can't imagine it's gotten better.
I just think if we turn our back on Leichhardt Oval, I think there's a lot of people who could be lost to the game, and I think you're taking away. You're taking away a lot of heart and soul of the game. Those old school Balmain people who love the Tigers would be lost to the game if you deserted Leichhardt Oval. So we might have to agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah, we can. I'm right though. No, it's. I really don't like hills. I don't like going to Cogra or Wynn if I'm on the hill as well. That's the other thing. I really don't like the hill. I just don't. It's awful. It's a poor experience. It's. I know there's all the passion and everything for being on the hill, but I hate the fact you have to stand up. And it's not because I'm lazy. It's a poor experience, There's
a lot of those fans who went to Leichhardt the other night who, if you played at Accor Stadium, they would not even think about going to the game.
Every stadium is like that. Every club is like that. Well, there was a few years ago where Manly Stadium was falling apart and had basically sand on the thing, and I was saying they should abandon that. And all it took was a small investment of money to make it playable again. Not, like I said, not a world quality stadium. You're not going to play Olympic games there and stuff, but it's good enough for club rugby league. And like, I might have to go out to Leichhardt again to like just confirm 100% because I haven't been there for years. But when I was there, my impression was this is not even good enough for club rugby league. Like it's so crappy. Yeah, like the Wynn Stadium and Cogra, Oki Jubilee. It's been Oki Jubilee in like 10 years, but Oki Jubilee, they also weren't really that good either. And that's mainly my main problem with it all. Like the government won't give them any money. It's the government that's got to fix stadiums. There's all this talk about like maybe the NRL could buy the stadium. What the hell does the NRL want? West Tigers say they won't buy it because there's no money. I love the line. There's no money in owning a stadium. Just ask Cronulla. Like,
but that Chris Minns line, give me a break. If it was in your political interest to win that seat, you'd be forking out.
Yeah, I hate that so much. That was,
and then we got $180 billion in debt, but we won't spend $30 million more on an upgrade. Like, don't pretend that you care about the $180 billion in debt.
Yeah.
If it was in your political interest to spend the money, you'd be spending the money.
I hate that so much.
So give me a break, Chris Minns.
So Gladys Berejiklian had all the sports issues. No government does the sports well, and they always just use it as a way to swing seats that they want. So, yeah, like just our opinion, but Dan thinks they should stay there. I think they should only stay there if they can actually improve the stadium to be more of a better experience. Yeah, that's honestly, guys, it's just our opinion. I got to note down.